Oh yeah.
I like that energy already, Jeremy. It's good. I could tell you're gonna bring it.
You want to know a secret about me, Jeremy?
I like the mysticism.
I've never once wanted my money back after leaving the movie theater. Not
really
once. Never once. I was in a dark theater. I enjoyed the ride. I like some rides better than others, but You've
never gotten up in the middle of a movie and like walked out?
You want to know what movie I walked out of? And I know why I did it, but I'll get to that in a minute. The Big Lebowski.
Get the fuck out of here.
I fucking walked out in the middle of...
Why?
Because I had been...
Because of the Eagles comment?
I almost walked out too, and I was in my house.
I was like, dude, what? You're going to dog the Eagles, bro? You walked out of the Big Lebowski? That's insane.
No, I was honest. I don't remember. I wish I could remember what movies it was, but I was on this like action movie. Like everything I saw was like Mission Impossible. I was just like, yeah, like that was kind of my thing at that point at the theater.
This isn't Michael Bay.
And then I walked in. I'm just like, oh my God, are they still fucking talking? I don't have time. But yeah, I've watched it again and I've changed my mind about it. But I was just like, I don't have time for this right now. I walked out of the Big Lebowski. Thank the light, everyone. My studio smells of ale and wine, cheese and weariness. And these are my Wolf Brothers.
I always have something good, and you always just fucking knock it right out of the park, and I want to try to follow with a straight face. Can't do it. I had a good one today, too. I will be your, hey, if it doesn't scan, it's free, right, Sadai?
Get ready for some exploding trees and mountains being pulled down on top of you.
Yes.
Oh, sweet, sweet taint of sardine. Yes.
Welcome to the Wheel of Time podcast. We are your true source, the purest light, your companion cast, a warder, if you will, for this journey through all things Wheel of Time.
I got to turn the light on to show this to you guys. So today I bought a new piece because I was inspired by the tobacco pipes.
Very nice.
So it's a little Sherlock.
Yeah.
And I haven't decided whether I'm going to call him Randall Thor.
What is that?
It's a Sherlock pipe.
But what's the three little things coming out there? The green.
It's like a dragon claw. So haven't decided whether it's Randall Thor, Luce Theron Telemann, Kinslayer, or Matt's Luck.
Well, that's why you got three horns coming out of it. It's Rand, Perrin, and Matt.
Oh, snap.
Tarvirin
Tobacco.
Dang it.
It's your Two Rivers pipe.
Oh, today we have Justin's going to play the clip, but it's inspired by me. When I pick clips, I try to forget that we have talked about the ending of the Wheel of Time.
Parts of the ending, not the whole ending.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. You were like, I had a different clip lined up for today.
Yeah.
A little bit further in the story. And then you texted me and you're like, dude, like chapter 5 could be like a couple episodes. And I was like, dude, yeah. And I went back and I listened to it. And then I went back and listened to it again. And I honestly think that, first of all, I think that chapter's had a huge impact on the show already. And I'll tell you why when we get into it.
Chapter 5 of The Dragon Reborn.
Thank you.
And it is called shit. It's not called shit. It's not called shit. It's called Nightmares Walking, which is a great title for a chapter as well.
Yeah.
It's mostly from, I believe, Perrin's point of view. You get some I guess you don't really get Rand's at the end. You just get him and Rand just kind of talking at the end, and you get some interaction with Lan and Rand, and some interaction with Moraine and Rand and Land and Perrin. There's some men, but I think literally that everything that happens, you will get kind of. We've already got some versions, or at least like inspired by, and I think you're going to get some versions of a lot of the things in this chapter. Maybe not necessarily like in a little cleft rock in a valley somewhere, but I think you might get some versions of this.
Where the fuck is Matt?
Tarvalin.
Tarvalin? He is in Tarvalin. Okay.
He's on his way.
Okay.
The next chapter after this is you go to Nynaeve, Egwene, Perrin, and Matt and Elaine too on the way to the tower.
Okay.
Because Perrin caught up with Elaine and all the girls, and they're on their way back from Tyr to the tower with Matt.
From Fall.
Yes.
You fucking blew it, Justin. You son of a...
You're so stupid.
You're a terrible podcast host.
In the books, Matt is much sicker and has to be healed 3 times, 2 times. It's 2 times, right? Like
3 times. He gets healed twice, and then he gets the third one in Tarvalin with like Shiriam's there, Varen's there, the Suan's there.
But what's the second time?
He gets healed in Faldara.
Dalfara.
By Moraine.
The first time, and then I think he gets healed again.
I don't remember a second time. I know for sure that it's at least 2.
I thought he got healed, he gets healed. Okay, he gets healed for the first time after Pod and Fane in Faldara, and then I think he gets healed again either right before
You could be right.
the Battle of Falm, I think.
So we have a major correction too. We were talking about the women who.
We always do. I'm a stoner.
Well, I was reading the Dragon Reborn again, and we were talking about the women who channel before they're taught.
Yes.
And we said 2 out of 3 die. It's actually 3 out of 4 because I came upon that chapter in the book that talks about it. Yeah, it's actually 3 out of 4. So only 1 out of 4 survive.
I think they've said both. I thought it was 2 out of 3, but I guess you're right.
In that chapter that I saw, which was I think it's right either before chapter 5 or right after chapter 5, they're talking about it. Yeah, I read that. I was like, oh shoot, I got to bring that up.
Wow, thank you. I think you brought that up in the last episode.
I did, and I didn't say anything. we went right past it.
Didn't get to it.
And Des can just put that in the last episode from this episode.
Remix.
Retcon it.
So, wow. Yeah, I guess that's a good thing to bring up in this one because Rand is finally Rand's not getting the sickness, but like he's really accepting / scared. Like he knows he can touch Sidene, but what the fuck can he do with it? How much can he do with it? Like he's scared of it, but he knows if he needs to, he can bring a mountain down on top of a group of people. Unfortunately, probably killing his people on top of it. But if he wants to end something in a hurry, he knows he can do it, and that's both reassuring and scary as hell.
Yeah. In this clip, you're going to see that he's come to terms with the fact that he can channel, and that means he's going to die. He's going to go mad and die. What he hasn't come to terms with is he the Dragon Reborn? He's like, okay, I fulfilled some of the prophecies, I think, but I haven't fulfilled any of the major prophecies yet.
So I could still not be the dragon.
Right.
Well, and all he's done, what's really bumming him out, is all he's done, waved the banner and got everybody into a big fucking war. And so he's just like, if I'm not the dragon, I am the biggest asshole in the world. And I don't really believe I'm the dragon. So, asshole?
It's actually one of the things that at the end of this clip that I'm going to point out is like he's starting to kind of lose his shit, but he's also kind of like having his own little pity party sometimes, and he's like starting to feel sorry for himself. And at some point he says something and Lan's like, dude,
suck it up.
Come on.
Well, and it doesn't help that like no one will just let him be. Like everyone's just staring at him like, oh, like they're either telling him what to do as the dragon or just in so much awe of him.
Yeah, you got Moraine who's bossing him around, and Perrin and Matt who are his only buddies that are kind of like, whoa, dude, I don't even want to be that close to you right now. Lan is the only person that kind of treats him normal, and Min and Loyal, and then everyone else is just like, you're the dragon, and they're just kind of starstruck.
Ooh. Yo, your dick sucked now or after dinner? Like, because you're the dragon, so I got to do something.
If those chaps don't work out, I can take over.
You want to know how I lost this eye?
The chaps. Oh my god.
The dragon's balefire. Oh, great, I'm muted. That's what I'm getting right now, is that Desmond's mocking me for just blah, 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 blah.
Justin's like, God, what a dick. Like,
You guys are just talking right over the top of me.
he's like, this is what a podcast is us talking, and he's getting mad at me for talking. Like, I know, what am I supposed to do now?
Thanks. Great.
What were you saying? We did.
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
The Dragon Reborn, Chapter 5.
Leaping from his bed, Perrin snatched his axe and ran outside, barefoot and wearing nothing but thin linen, heedless of the cold. The moon bathed the clouds with pale white. More than enough light for his eyes. More than enough to see the shapes slipping through the trees from all sides. Shapes almost as big as Loyal, but with faces distorted by muzzles and beaks. Half-human heads wearing horns and feathered crests. Stealthy forms stalking on hooves or paws as often as booted feet. He opened his mouth to shout warning, and suddenly the door of Moraine's hut burst open and Lan dashed out, sword in hand, and shouting, "Trollocs! Wait for your lives! Trollocs!" Lan was fully clothed. Perrin would have bet the warder had not slept, and he flung himself among the Trollocs as if his wool were armor. He decided to dance from one to another, man and sword following like water or wind. And where the warder danced, Trollocs screamed and died. Moraine was out the night as well, dancing her own dance among the Trollocs. Her only apparent weapon was a switch, but where she slashed a Trolloc, the line of flame grew on his flesh. Her free hand threw fiery balls summoned from thin air, and Trollocs howled as flames consumed them, thrashing on the ground. An entire tree burst into flame from root to crown, then another and another. Trollocs shrieked at the sudden light, but they did not stop swinging their spiked axes and swords curved like scythes. Abruptly, Perrin saw Leah step hesitantly out of Moraine's cabin, halfway around the bowl from him, and all thought of anything else left him. The Tuathalan woman pressed her back against the log wall, a hand to her throat. "Hide!" Perrin shouted at her. He ran toward her. "Hide, Leah! For the love of the light, hide!" A Trolloc loomed up over him, a cruelly hooked beak where its mouth and nose should have been. Black mail and spikes covered it from shoulders to knees, and it moved on a hawk's talons as it swung one of those strangely curved swords. It smelled of sweat and dirt and blood.
Because Trollocs are gross.
Perrin slash, shouting wordlessly as he struck out with his axe. He knew he should have been afraid, but urgency suppressed fear. All that mattered was that he had to reach Leah, had to get her to safety, and the Trolloc was in the way. The Trolloc fell, roaring and kicking. Perrin did not know where he had hit it, or if it were dying or merely hurt. He leaped over it, where it lay thrashing, and ran scrambling up the slope. Burning trees cast lurid shadows across the small valley. A flickering shadow beside Moraine's hut suddenly resolved into a Trolloc, goat-snouted and horned. Gripping a wildly spiked axe with both hands, it seemed on the point of rushing down into the fray when his eyes fell on Leah. "No!" Perrin shouted. The Trolloc's axe rose. "Leah!" At the last instant, the Trolloc spun, axe flashing toward Perrin. He threw himself down, yelling as steel scored his back. Desperately, he flung out a hand, caught a goat hoof, and pulled with all his strength. The Trolloc's feet came out from under it, and it fell with a crash. But as it slid down the slope, it seized Perrin in hands big enough to make two of his. Blunt goat teeth sank into Perrin's shoulder, powerful jaws chewing. And somehow, he had held on to his own axe. He held it short on the handle, like a hammer, with the spike foremost. With a roar that took the last of his air, he drove the spike into the Trolloc's temple. Soundlessly, it convulsed, limbs flinging wide, hurling him away.
Such a
By
gangster
instinct
thought.
alone, his hand tightened on the axe, ripping it loose as the Trolloc slid further down the slope, still twitching. "Leah!" She was still there, huddled in front of the hut, not more than 10 paces upslope, and watching him with such a look on her face that he could barely meet her eyes. "Don't pity me," he growled at her. "Don't you?" The murderous leap from the roof of the hut seemed to take too long, and its
This
dead
is
black
fucked
cloak
up.
hung during the slow fall, as if the half-men were standing on the ground already.
I can just picture it
Its
slow
luminous
motion.
gaze was fixed on Perrin. It smelled like death. Cold seeped through Perrin's arms and legs as the murderer stared at him. His chest felt like a lump of ice. "Cut one leg of the tripod," it said softly, "and all fall down." Its voice sounded like dry, rotted leather crumbling.
That's important.
Suddenly, Leah moved, throwing herself forward, attempting to wrap her arms around the murderer's legs. It gave an almost casual backwards swing of its dark sword, never even looking around, and she crumpled. Tears started
Can't you
to
just
rise to
picture it
Perrin's
like-
eyes. I should have helped her, saved her. I should have done something. But so long as the murderer stared at him with its eyeless gaze, it was an effort even to think. "We come, brother. We come, young bull." The words inside his mind made his head ring like a struck bell. The reverberations shivered through him. With the words came the wolves, scores of them, flooding into his mind as he was aware of them flooding into the bowl-shaped valley. "Fade," Perrin said roughly, but then a different name came to him from the wolves. Trollocs, the twisted ones made during the War of the Shadow from melding men and animals, were bad enough. But the Murdral, Neverborn, young bull spat.
That's a good name for a
Whipped hurling
Madral.
back in a snarl,
Never
he threw himself at the
born.
Murdral. It moved like a viper, sinuous and deadly, black sword quick as lightning. But he was young bull. That was what the wolves called him. Young bull, with horns of steel that he wielded with his hands. He was one with the wolves. He was a wolf, and any wolf would die 100 times over to see one of the Neverborn go down. The Fade fell back before him, its darting blade now trying to deflect his slashes. Hamstring and throat. That was how wolves killed. Young Bull suddenly threw himself to one side and dropped to a knee, his axe slicing across the back of the half-man's knee. It screamed, a bone-burrowing sound to raise his hair at any other time, and fell, catching itself with one hand. The half-man, the Neverborn, still held its sword firmly, but before it could set itself, Young Bull's axe struck again. Half-severed, the Murdrall's head flopped over to hang down its back. Yet still leaning there on one hand, the Neverborn slashed wildly with its sword. Neverborn were always long in dying. As much as his own eyes, Young Bull received impressions of Trollocs thrashing on the ground, shrieking, untouched by wolf or man. Those who would have been linked to this Murdrall, and would die when it did, if no one killed them first. The urge to rush down the slope and join his brothers, join in killing the Twisted Ones, and hunting the remaining Neverborn was strong. But a buried fragment that was still man remembered. Leah.
He's feeding off the wolves' hate for Shadowspawn.
Blood covered her face,
Shadowspawn.
and her eyes stared up at him, glazed with death. An accusing stare, it seemed to him. I tried, he told her. I tried to save you. Her stare did not change.
So let's just unpack that first part.
We also need to talk about the whole reason that Perrin is really trying to save this woman is because Min had a vision where she said that woman is going to die. She saw her face. Min said, "My everything. When I know what it means, when I know what my visions mean, they always come true." She doesn't always know what they mean.
I forgot about that because I listened to this chapter so many times. I forgot about the previous chapter where she almost died, and so Min was like, maybe it's not death.
So you do get a little bit of, at least we talked about this, is like the way they're describing Land kind of dancing around, and then when the Thakandar blade hits the Aes Sedai blade, which Land has, it's like basically like causing like sparks, like when lightsabers hit almost. It's like they say it's causing like lightning almost.
So does she have an Aes Sedai? Like she doesn't have a real sword. She's just kind of conjuring.
No, Land does. His sword is power wrought.
But what's it hitting up against?
The Thakandar blade from the Madral, from the Fade.
Oh,
their blades
okay.
are made and they're like black as night. And so they're kind of power wrought too. So like when they're hitting each other, it's like lightning flashes, you know? And so you could kind of see like Land's dance being kind of inspired for the winter night scene. And Min Moraine, when she's like slashing at the Trollocs, she doesn't have a stick in her hand, but she's kind of doing some Bruce Lee judo chops.
Does she not actually have?
She just has a stick. She's just like.
So she is holding something.
She's basically.
Yeah.
The way I take it is it's like she puts an air edge on it. So if anything gets too close, it cuts like a blade, you know? So
you know that horrible stick that Willow called a wand?
That's what it is. Yep. Fucking that stick is magic, boy.
If anyone could make it work, Moraine could.
The trees catching on fire is Rand attempting to do something with the power.
Yes.
You know, like Jeremy said, Min, you know, had a vision of her. This is where you really like, everybody obviously, Rand's the dragon. Everybody loves Rand. And like, I've always been an underdog or side character guy. I know Jeremy can attest to this. I've always been that way. You kind of are too, Jeremy, a little bit. And Des, I know you know this. I always like a fucking underdog. So I really started to gel with Matt and Perrin. Matt, you know, towards the middle of this book when, you know, the Galad and Gawain thing happened. But this is where you get to see Perrin like being like, he isn't classically trained. He just berserks out, dude. And he's like, just, you know, like if you were a wolf in a pack and, you know, it's life and death, man. There's nothing else. It's not like, man, I got to pay taxes next week. It's like, this is it. This is fucking it. And, you know, Perrin, you know, he kind of losing himself in the emotion of the wolves because they're dying, but they don't care because it's worth it to kill Shadowspawn no matter what.
Well, and he's got whether he's really embracing it or not, like he's got the sense of a wolf and the vision of a wolf. So he can like smell people sneaking up behind him. He can see people coming from half a mile away. So he's like, it looks like he's got Jedi moves, but it's just, he's so sensitive, like a dog.
He's like the epitome of like a berserker tank in a, you know, RPG, dude. Just like, he gets injured a lot, but it's like he kind of knows like I got an Aes Sedai with me, so unless I get decapitated, I don't give a fuck. And even then, if I die, I don't care.
I forget where Leah came from. She
was bringing Moraine she's one of her eyes and ears was bringing her a message.
Oh,
I can't remember about what. Jeremy, do you?
I think it's about the dragons Sporn and Gildan that are all starting to gather up. So she's telling, you know, Moraine about what's going on with them.
Is that who Rand tries to reanimate later?
No.
No, okay. Because I thought he might have felt guilty because if he had got his shit together, no one should have died in that battle.
That's a great scene. It's a crazy scene. Yeah, that's in book 4.
Okay. So yeah, I think we're just gonna break this reading and discussion up into pieces, and that's fine with me. I just want everyone to know the reason why I chose this is because we'll get to more of it in a minute, but like Perrin is realizing whether he wants to be a wolf or not. Like he's kind of embracing. He's like, I can do this, whether I like it or I want to or I need to. Like this is gonna be something that I can harness.
He's gotten to the point where he's like, okay, this is something I kind of have to deal with, but he still kind of is like, he's really scared he's going to like lose himself to the wolf. Especially because the chapter before this, I think, or no, excuse me, you have a chapter coming up where he comes into contact with another wolf brother and one who is not a man really anymore.
Oh, yeah.
He's, so that's coming up.
Yeah. And so also, just because this chapter is so meaty, like, they let so many things happen in this chapter. Like Perrin's coming to grips with that. Rand is really just like, holy shit, I'm, I can harness this power again, whether I want to or not, or I like it or I don't.
Well, he's kind of 50-50. He's like, am I the dragon or am I just some fucking asshole who can channel,
Either way, he knows how fucking powerful he is, whether it kills him or he saves the world. And then also something that's coming up in this chapter, which I think is interesting, because again, they just kind of like graze over it. And we know from talking about it how important it is that we see that Moraine is carrying a saw angreal. And like, so...
Same one she's had since the beginning, though.
She's always had it? Does she always use it, though?
Yeah, she pulls it out.
Oh.
No, it's not a saw angreal, it's an angreal.
They call it a saw...
No, it's just an angreal. It's her woman angreal, the ivory woman, right? That's what it is, Jeremy?
Yeah.
She uses it... Well, has it said that she uses it up until this point? Yeah, she uses it in book 2. When they're heading to Shadar Logoth, she pulls it out and then she causes like the big rolling fire earthquake.
That's book 1.
Yeah, book 1.
But this just really seems to show that she's like using it all the time now. It seems like.
Well, and like right now, by the time she gets to the end of this, she's using it because she's like tapped.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. She's using her power to power the whole fucking group right now. And so especially when she's in battle, she really needs it to get that edge. Now, does a saw angreal allow you to harness more power, or does it allow you to not be as affected by, because if she wanted to, she could harness enough power to kill herself, right?
Yeah.
So does a saw angreal, is a saw angreal like a filter?
No, there is no buffer. I'd say, Jeremy, I would say it's almost more dangerous.
Right. That's what
No. It's
because there is no filter, there is no buffer, and you could get even like how you.
The saw angreal just allows you to pull more power without killing yourself. So it's kind of like internet, right? Different cables, right?
Bigger pipes.
If you got bigger pipes, right?
Yeah.
It's bigger pipes. That's what it is. It's the same internet. You're just getting more of it.
And if you don't have, it doesn't matter how big your pipes are if your laptop can't handle it. So this adds RAM to her laptop.
We're way too into the weeds now.
Fucking nerds. No, okay, so just think of the end of season 1, how Homegirl, she can't barely channel, but then she links up with Egwene and Nynaeve, who are so strong. So you probably wouldn't get your hands on an angreal unless you know enough about the power to not do that shit. But if you're not very strong, and then all of a sudden you get your hands on an angreal and you're like, holy crap, you might try to do some shit that you wouldn't even think about doing beforehand. And in that sense, I feel like it could be more dangerous in a way, even though it is a bit of a buffer.
So think of it like this, Des. Every single person has a different ability to channel the amount of power. Each person can pull in more than they could handle and it could kill them. But it could be different for every person. So what would be nothing to like Rand could kill Egwene or somebody who is more like Moraine. It would be way too much power. But then there's also the saw angreals. So you can have the saw angreal. Now you can pull in 1,000 times more than what he would normally do. But he can still pull in too much and still kill himself. And it's still a possibility.
So with an angreal, you need to kind of like practice with it too. and figure out what your levels are. Like, if you just run across an angriel and you're just like, I'm gonna
kind of, but if you get at it, yeah, if you,
It's kind of like working out. It's like working out. Like if I pick up something that's way too heavy, you're gonna know it, right? So don't try to bench press it or squat it.
right, but also if you are adept enough in the power to know what a fucking saw angriel is, you probably are adept enough to know that like you need to be careful because some shit could get wonky. That's one of the reasons why they don't know. You hear about they have a big cache of like Turangriel and Angriel and Sarangriel and Tyr that no one's ever tested, and a bunch in the tower that some people have tested or none have ever been tested because they don't know what they do. They're from the Age of Legends and they're scared to test them. That's why the power keeps getting weaker and weaker and weaker, because they don't allow people to push themselves because they don't want anyone to die. That's why the people in Shanchan get so strong, because they don't give a shit.
Oh, right. Yeah, they'll burn them the fuck out.
They're like, try this. Oh, you can't do it? Try harder. Oh, you can't channel anymore. Well,
next.
We didn't like you anyways.
Yeah, exactly. They don't care.
Yeah,
we don't like you anyway. You're a douche. Okay, back to the clip, I suppose. Probably be good.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to see like how badass Perrin is, like how vicious Trollocs and Fades are, and I think we'll hopefully see more of that this season. And then, I think I hope they really build the individual story out. Like, Matt's separate, so I hope he gets his own. I hope they don't overcram stuff, but I hope they get a lot of his cool shit in for character building, especially for the new fella, Donald Finn.
Can I tell you guys some really good storytelling? That's what really makes me wish that Wheel of Time had gone to HBO instead. I don't know if you guys watched The Last of Us.
I have watched the first 2 episodes. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And if you go and watch the side-by-sides that they have on YouTube with the video game, it is amazing.
See, I haven't even played the video game, but I'm enough of a gamer. I was telling Lisa when we were watching it, I was like, that's got to be directly cut from the game.
And there's a lot of that. Yeah. And it's funny. I was talking to a guy today and he was like, have you watched that? I said, yeah, it's good. I played the game. Did you play it? He said, no. But he said the same thing you said. There were scenes in there that look like a video game.
The first episode was like, it was good, but it was kind of like, it could have went either way after the second episode. I'm like, is it going to be good or is it going to fucking peter out? And it's like, it ramped up even more second episode. So I was like, okay, good.
The gal who played the daughter was really good too. You know that's the famous actress, the English actress. If you look at her, you're like, oh, that's your mom. Dang it, Des, you're gonna have to cut this in and make it look smart.
Kate Winslet.
I do this to you every week.
Is that it? Really?
It's Dame Judi Dench. It's her daughter.
Donna Mike reference right there. God.
Hold on. I gotta find this stupid. What her name is?
Rosamund Pike.
No. This girl didn't throw her arms all over the place. Is it Naomi
Watts?
It's not Naomi Watts. Darn it. What's the show?
Naomi Cranston.
And I'm waiting. My computer's not too slow. We'll just move on and cut that out.
And the podcast grinds to screeching halt.
I know, that's usually your job.
Yeah, I know.
Dandy Newton.
Who?
Dandy Newton.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, totally. I get it.
That was anticlimactic, to say the least, Jeremy.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna leave all of this in just so that our listeners can have the same
Oh, it's Dandy Newton. Thank God we figured that out. Fuck's sake.
Everyone else is like, bah.
Why do we have him on this podcast again?
Everyone else was Dandy Newton. Dandy, it's fuck go.
Move on, you fucking moron.
You said you're gonna play the clip. Play the clip.
Okay, we're going.
Wolf rolled over him, enveloped him. Letting Leah back down, Perrin took up his axe, blade gleaming wetly. His eyes shone as he raced down the rocky slope. He was Young Bull. Trees scattered around the bowl-shaped valley burned like torches. A tall pine flared into flame as Young Bull joined the battle. Ancient Aes Sedai made steel, making black steel wrought in Funkandar, in the shadow of Shale Ghul. Loyal wielded a quarterstaff the size of a fence rail, the whirling timber marking a space no Trolloc entered without falling. Men fought desperately in the dancing shadows, but Young Bull, Perrin, noted in a distant way that too many of the Shienaran two-legs were down. The brothers and sisters fought in small packs of 3 or 4, darting in with slashing teeth to sever hamstrings, lunging to bite out throats as their prey fell. There was no honor in the way they fought, no glory, no mercy. They had not come for battle, but to kill. Young Bull joined one of the small packs, the blade of his axe serving for teeth. He no longer thought of the greater battle. There was only the Trolloc and the wolves, the brothers cut off from the rest and brought down. Then there would be another, and another, and another, until none were left. He felt the urge to hurl the axe aside and use his teeth, to run on all fours as his brothers did, run through the high mountain passes, run belly deep in powdery snow pursuing deer, run with the cold wind ruffling his fur. He snarled with his brothers, and Trollocs howled with fear at his yellow-eyed gaze even more than they did at the other wolves. Inside his head, he was with them, seeing with their eyes. As they closed in, the Neverborn turned, cursing. Black blade and black-clad Neverborn like part of the night. But night was where his brothers and sisters hunted. Young Bull snarled as the first brother died, its death pain lancing him. Yet the others closed in, and more brothers and sisters died. But snapping jaws dragged the Neverborn down. It fought back with its own teeth now, ripping out throats, slashing with fingernails that sliced skin and flesh like the hard claws the two legs carried. Finally, a lone sister heaved herself out of the still twitching pile and staggered to one side. Morning Mist, she was called. But as with all their names, it was more than that. A frosty morning with the bite of snows yet to come already in the air, and the mist curling thick across the valleys, swirling with the sharp breeze that carried the promise of good hunting. Raising her head, Morning Mist howled to the cloud-hidden moon, mourning her dead. Young Bull threw back his head and howled with her, mourned with her. When he lowered his head, Min was staring at him.
Okay, so they kind of, him and Min talk, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's alive, everybody's dead, whatever. And then Perrin's got a wound on his back. Rand hasn't really done anything, but I think from the strain of trying to channel, or maybe, I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think about this? Is it the close proximity of the shadow spawn that causes his wound to break open? Because he didn't fight, he was just sitting there battling Sidene, is what he says.
I think the stress, just that like, just that tenseness.
That's
Kind of the way I took it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain times when he just, no matter what happens, it breaks open. It's just, and it's gonna do it, like for the rest of the all the books.
It's like when you get a hemorrhoid, if you don't, get it better, it's gonna just pop right out.
It's oozing. It's oozing.
He's like, man, you're gonna have to put your finger right there and hold that. Push my guts back in. Just push my guts back in so Morankins.
Come on, do it. Ow, ow.
Just thinking about when Nynaeve is getting all the gook out of Moraine's thing, and the show just.
Yeah. And that's how you get staff, kids.
So you can see that Trollocs are already afraid of Perrin because of the yellow eyes, and I think they feel the wolfish intensity. Like, they are afraid of him. Like, you don't ever see Fades or Trollocs that are like, I don't want to take Matt on, because they're like, I'm going to kill you. And Matt's like, nah, that's cute. Hold my beer. But, like, they're afraid of Perrin because he is, Perrin is awesome, man. I really hope that they do his arc justice, because I really associate and fall in love with Perrin. Even Matt's like who the douchebag that you'd be if you didn't have a good wife. Like Matt's the guy I would be if I didn't have an awesome wife. You know what I mean? Like I'd be let's go out for a drink.
We all have a Matt in our life.
Yeah.
Perrin is like the man and the husband and the friend that you want to be, and this is where you really first start to see it. And just in the fact that, like, I don't know if we'll hear it or not, but Uno says something about, we'll have plenty of wolf hides to keep us warm. And Perrin's like, the fuck you will, bro. You're going to bury them with our dead because they fought for us. So you will do nothing. And Uno's kind of like, okay, bro, whatever.
Which, I get it as far as your brethren, but also, wouldn't your friends want you to take what they needed to survive?
It ain't snowing, bro. They ain't fucking freezing. Fuck that. They're fine. They have a nice to die. They can make fires.
Guys, if we're ever trapped in the snow, you can skin me and use my skin to stay warm.
Justin, you think he smells bad on the outside?
I'm gonna make a lady suit out of you and look in the mirror and say, I'd fuck me. And I'm gonna play Goodbye Horses. It's gonna be great. Another thing that you see before, I'm just going to start with the clip because you're seeing Moraine come up to heal Perrin and Rand, but you see that Min ain't no sucker either because, she's got a bruise, but she's fine. She made it through the battle and there was nobody protecting her. She could fight.
I'm just going to say it so I don't surprise it. We got 20 minutes.
You pissed him off. He just walked away.
Right, no, it's like, fuck it. It's like, dude, you got to stick around for the 5th hour. That's when Thank the Light gets really good.
We take a nap for 2.5 hours, and then we just get right back to it.
In the middle of it, they just played Ace Ventura, the whole movie, on half speed.
And no one talked. They just, And they just laughed a little bit.
Occasionally. I really like this. And then it just goes like, talk about a mystery box.
One more time.
Seriously, I've been on mute this whole time. I had the clip playing and everything.
Oh, no. He's like, why are you guys not shutting up? We're trying to get this clip out.
I was like engaging with you guys the whole time. Had to go pee.
You were playing the clip the whole time? That's when we were like laughing because you walked away?
Yes.
Oh.
I was talking about old and everything. Jesus. Okay, so Moraine's with Rand and Matt. God damn it. Okay, Moraine is coming up to find Perrin and Rand chatting because Perrin went to find Rand. And Rand is sitting feeling sorry for himself. And then Moraine comes upon them, and that's where we're at the end of the chapter. If I manage to not mute my mic like a fucking moron, here we go.
But those healings have been minor, simply washing away tiredness when Moraine could not afford to have him weary.
Oh.
They have been nothing like this. The Aes Sedai's eyes suddenly seemed to be seeing inside him, seeing through him. He gasped and almost dropped his axe. He could feel the skin on his back crawling, muscles writhing as they knit back together. His shoulder quivered uncontrollably and everything blurred. Cold seared him to the bone, then deeper still. He had the impression of moving, falling, flying. He could not tell which, but he felt as if he were rushing somewhere, somehow, at great speed forever. After an eternity, the world came into focus again. Moraine was stepping back, half staggering, until Lan caught her arm. Gaping, Perrin looked down at his shoulder. The gashes and bruises were gone. Not so much as a twinge remained. He twisted carefully, but the pain in his back had vanished as well, and his feet no longer hurt. He did not need to look to know all the bruises and scrapes were gone. His stomach rumbled loudly. You should eat as soon as you can, Moraine told him. A good bit of the strength for that came from you. You need to replace it. Hunger and images of food were already filling Perrin's head. Blood, rare beef, and venison, and mutton, and with an effort he made himself stop thinking of meat. He would find some of those roots that smelled like turnips when they were roasted. His stomach growled in protest. There's barely even a scar, blacksmith, Lan said behind him. Most of the wolves who were hurt had made their own way to the forest, Moraine said, knuckling her back and stretching. But I healed those I could find. Very well. And what have you learned? Did you take any hurt? Even a nick from a Murgrol's blade can be deadly, and some Trolloc blades are almost as bad. Perrin noticed something for the first time. Rand, your coat is wet. Rand pulled his right hand from under his coat, a hand covered in blood. Not a Murgrol, he said absently, peering at his hand. Not even a Trolloc. The wound I took at Falma broke open. Pulling back the side of his coat, she studied his wound. Moraine's hands moved, and Rand grimaced in pain. The blood of the dragon reborn on the rocks of Shale Ghul will free mankind from the shadow. Isn't that what the prophecies of the dragon say? Who told you that? Moraine said sharply. If you could get me to Shale Ghul now, Rand said drowsily. By Waygate or Portal Stone, there could be an end to it. No more dying. No more dreams. No more. If it were as simple as that, Moraine said grimly, I would one way or another, but not all in the Koreathon cycle can be taken at its face.
She's like, if all you had to do was die there, I'd fucking dump you off there right now.
Do not think you know anything at all of what must be, even if someone has told you the whole of the prophecies. She paused as if gathering strength. Her grip tightened on the Ungreal, and her free hand slid along Rand's side as if it were not covered in blood. Brace yourself. Suddenly Rand's eyes opened wide and he sat straight up, gasping and staring and shivering. Perrin had thought when she healed him that it went on forever, but in moments she was easing Rand back against the oak. You must be careful. It could break open again if... As her voice trailed off, she fell. Rand caught her, but Lan was there in an instant to scoop her up. As the warder did so, a look passed across his face, a look as close to tenderness as Perrin had ever expected to see from Lan. Exhausted, the warder said. She has cared for everyone else, but there's no one to take her fatigue. I will put her to bed. There's Rand, Min said slowly, but the warder shook his head. Rand looked up at the warder, and surprisingly, all of his bitterness seemed to be gone. But you know so little you might as soon kill her as help her. That's right, Rand said bitterly. I'm not to be trusted. Luther and Kinslayer killed everyone close to him. Maybe I'll do the same before I am done. Pull yourself together, sheepherder.
So much.
That's it. So again, you see Rand, he's having a little pity party, and Lan, I mean, Rand gets to, be an empathetic, caring young man because of Tam, but Lan really teaches him to be a man and is a mentor. And really, if it wasn't for, there is an argument to be made that if it wasn't for Lan, that Rand would have never made it even to the last battle. I think Lan is one of the single most important characters that is kind of like, yeah, he's cool, but it's like he's so important to Rand's arc. I don't think Rand gets to where he needs to be without him.
Yeah, if he doesn't learn how to manage that sword, he never gets to the point where he can channel the power.
Well, and a little bit of that came from Tam, though, because Tam taught him the flame in the void for archery, right, Jeremy?
Yep.
So what the things that I'd say that the things that Land teaches Rand are more about like duty and, always, Rand has the right heart and, but even when you're faced with such monumental decisions and the fate of so many, it might be easy to run away. And Land makes sure he's never shirks his duty ever.
Yeah, he gives him that sense of, that duty is heavier than a mountain, death is lighter than a feather. He gives him that saying, and so that sticks in his head. And it doesn't just stick in his head, it also kind of sets his path that no matter what happens, he's going to do what has to be done.
Yeah, he's going to die no matter what. So
also, he still takes with him his kindness, or tries to take with him his kindness. Or I'm going to try to do it and save as many people as possible. But there will have to be sacrifices along the way.
He never once try and that's one of the things, he never really seeks to save himself. He accepts pretty quickly that if he's the dragon, he's going to die. He only towards the end starts going maybe I don't have to die, or maybe there's some way I can at least leave the world better when I die, as opposed to being in total chaos.
Yeah, it first starts out, he's kind of just, I just need to survive. I need to survive. And then it's, okay, I need to fulfill these prophecies. And then, okay, I need to get as many people behind me as I can so I can start this, get everyone behind me so that when the Trollocs and the Fades and everybody comes against us, we have a fighting chance. And then he's like, well, maybe I can do some things to cement my legacy or to help people out now that I've kind of...
Right. Instead of the dragging being, the
Kinslayer.
This nightmare tale. You can be like, oh man, look at what came out of this.
Yeah, maybe set the plate for the real. If he's not the real dragon, then maybe the person who comes after him will be more accepted and not immediately feared.
Well, towards the end, he knows he's a dragon. He's just like, I want to make sure that this age ends the right way and the next one begins with as much knowledge to build from it as possible, so we can get back to Age of Legends status.
He knows I'm probably going to die, so I got to do everything I can while I'm still here to set everybody up to succeed. And he starts trying to do that at the end. But then the madness starts catching up to him. And then that's when things start to go a little awry. It's funny, too. In this book, you see Rand kind of go crazy early. And through this whole book, he's kind of manic and crazy. And I'm wondering if Robert Jordan wrote it that way because he's like, well, this might be my last book. I don't know for sure if I'm going to get to write a fourth book.
I kind of felt like that.
Oh.
So he's kind of setting it up well, I have to start the madness already.
I feel that way about when you start getting to, what is what's the 10th book? Knife of Dreams?
That's 9, I believe. So Crossroads of Twilight?
Whichever one where the big thing that happens that we can't really talk about happens. Rand starts to get really fucking nuts towards the end of the last battle. And I feel like it was trying to kind of race to the end like that too. Cause he knew he was probably not long for this world because he was pretty ill for a while. So, I think he was trying to get it to a point where he could wrap it up maybe in one book. And there are times when you're like, how is he ever going to get to the last battle? Because he's kind of fucking crazy, dude. By book, 11, and then he kind of has his, the veins of gold moment. And all of a sudden the madness is just kind of gone. I mean, I'm sure it's not gone.
He becomes superhuman. It's really cool.
Yeah. Is he Thor by the end of it?
It's basically, he becomes one with all of his past lives, basically.
Oh, fuck.
And so he has all of this knowledge. He has all of this understanding.
And power, probably all of that power.
The power doesn't really change.
Well, yes, it does.
You think so? Well, no.
Dude,
no.
By the time he gets to the end, because of the true power.
What I'm saying, his power doesn't change. What he can do with it completely changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So his knowledge base goes through the roof. I mean,
right. It's more like it's a mindset. You really kind of it's almost like,
I can travel, I can skim, I can bale fire.
Right. How Aes Sedai now are you can't travel. It's just over. No one's trying to figure it out. No one's trying to rediscover it. It's just well, that's gone. And Rand kind of, he keeps breaking through doorways that he can travel, he can this, he can that. And then finally he's just whatever I will. He's fucking Thanos, except positive. Whatever he thinks is just, that's how it is.
He is like Thanos in that he is inevitable.
He absolutely is. But like, like I said, by the end, he doesn't just want to, imprison the Dark One. He wants to, couple things you see. One of the things we don't hear is, I might even be like at the very end or the next chapter, Rand takes off. And Massima is one of the Shanarians, and he's like, why would he leave us? What's going on?
What sin did we commit?
And Perrin's like, look, whatever, Rand does is because that's what Rand's going to do. And so, and then he's like, oh, you're right. He's like, he probably went to spread the word. We need to spread the word. And even the beasts of the forest will fight for the dragon. And he starts, you see, he's going to become someone important and also pretty fucking insane.
So the three legs of the tripod are Perrin, Matt, and Rand, right? The Tarviran.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Legs. Okay.
Which kind of tells you something, right, Jeremy? I mean, you got to think that they were sent by one of the Forsaken specifically because they know exactly who they're hunting and how important they are.
Which is going to be really difficult to say when they talk about the TV show, because they're like, if you take out one of the legs of the stool, oh, you still got 4 left. Oh, crap.
If you take one of the quintuplets out of the bar stool, it will still stand on its own unless you
it will be more steady. Ah!
There's not 7 spokes in a wheel, goddammit.
One of the things that, and maybe they touched on it at the end of the Great Hunt during that battle more, but like this chapter is so meaty that I feel like they should have focused a little bit more on the fact that when you kill a Murdral, all of his Trollocs die. Like there's a half a sentence that mentions it.
Not always.
Why not?
Well, so what they can do, say like a Murdral really needs to control this group of Trollocs, he can bind them to.
You got an exceptionally assholey bunch of Trollocs.
Exactly. Like these are like the bad kids in school. They had to go to
like frat boy Trollocs. They just they do whatever they want, drink all the time.
This is the Coach Carter kids, So you had to go in there, and this is the stand and deliver kids. You had to go in there and teach. This Murdral goes in there and is like,
Michael Keaton will fucking get him in line.
Have you seen the movie 187? Those are the Trollocs that we got.
You got to send in the substitute.
Yeah.
Tom Berenger is a substitute.
Michelle Pfeiffer, she's an Aes Sedai.
Oh yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer. That we were dancing around.
She'll get Coolio to straighten up and fly fucking right.
You got these Trollocs that are the Gangster's Paradise Trollocs, and you got to send in Michelle Pfeiffer, and Michelle Pfeiffer just bonds all of them together. So all these dangerous minds, and they get Michelle Pfeiffer to come in and bond all of them together. And then something happens and Michelle Pfeiffer gets killed. They all die.
But when don't they die?
But you don't have to do that.
Oh, if you don't.
You don't have to do that.
They're not always like linked. They call it linked.
So you're not bound. So
you know what? Did they ever explain that, Jeremy? How it's got to be something the Forsaken do, right?
They don't explain how they do it, but they explain that the Murdral does it. Like, so I think he can bind them. Like,
but it's like per battle. They're not bound forever. It's just like, hey, going into this battle, you're my crew. I'm gonna.
You know what it actually is? It's a literary thing that Robert Jordan used. He's like, I have these guys that are the good guys that were seriously outnumbered by all these bad guys. How do I get out of this?
Got to give him a golden gun.
I got to give them a way to get out. That's exactly what it is. We need a golden gun.
They're only linked when it's convenient.
Yes, that is exactly right. That is exactly right. And it's because they're Taviran. Right. That's why things can be changed.
Let me make up.
That's your answer for
everything. Let me make up a
everything.
word here. So I know we could talk about this all night.
No, couple more. Just. Okay, I'll make it fast. You see Rand withdrawing because he doesn't want to hurt his friends. He's scared of becoming the Kinslayer. That's why he's withdrawing and he takes off. Something we missed. Channelers can sense shadow spawn if they know what they're sensing. Because he's like, I could have warned everybody. But that being said, you know what? Moraine and Lan are way more adept than that, and they barely had any warning. So quit beating yourself up. You get to see that even Aes Sedai have limits. I mean, Moraine fucking drops at the end, right? Like and you get to see that you get that is one of the few very detailed descriptions of healing. Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, of him, like his muscles. He's like, I could feel the muscles in my back knitting. It's a very that's probably the kind only of creepy. It's that I can think of. It's the only one other than like when they're doing the thing and when she heals the other thing. They kind of get in depth to that, but that's still kind of more like a feeling than opposed to like nuts and bolts of like my skin and my muscles are fucking knitting together and I can feel it. It's one of the only mentions of it, and I thought it was really fucking cool. And on that note, dun.
Thank the light for listening to our podcast. Please rate us, like us, tell a friend about our show. Thank the light. We will be back next week with more. We're just talking about all. This is a lot of fun. We're using little jumping off points, but there's really no boundaries to our conversation, which is awesome. And
this chapter is gonna like I think that you're gonna see, at least stuff that is inspired by a lot of that chapter, even if it's just bits and pieces here and there.
Like, dig up this chapter if you're like kind of reading or kind of listening and you're like, I don't know if I'm into the book. Like, even if you're just a show person and you're kind of half into the books, dig up this chapter and listen to the whole thing. It's a awesome chapter that has a lot to chew on.
It's really good.
I'd highly recommend it. And let us know what you want us to talk about. Send us questions, comments, or chapters, characters that you want us to chat about at thankthelight@gmail.com. That is thankthelight@gmail.com. Feel free to send your, how you think this is going to like translate into the show. Like, that's what we're really, talking about now. We're getting really deep into the books.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Just, will this impact the show?
Yeah, we're just taking wild stabs at what we think the show is going to be. We just hope it's good. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Well, when they first said that it was going to be season 2 and 3, I was a little nervous because I was like, man, like
books 2 and 3.
But you can really condense The Great Hunt a lot. I was really thinking about it, and it's like it's a couple really long versions of a couple different stories, and if you really just take the meat and the important shit, that's 4 episodes max.
This chapter would make such a great fucking episode because it tells you so much about all the characters in a battle. Like, instead of just having a boring, White Tower conversation episode where they hash all this out.
Well, and you could even do it like Rand is gone already.
Yeah.
No one knows. Then this battle happens. Next day, they realize he's gone. And then you could have that scene where the lady, the one where he makes everyone bow down. And that could be like literally the start. That could be the start and the end of the same episode.
Ooh.
Dude, and you know what, Jeremy, think about this, bro. Think about this. I'm a little fucked up, let me tell you. Darkhound's probably this season, dude.
I would really
Balefire this season.
Yeah.
You got to, right? I'm wondering if maybe like some of the stuff, maybe like trying to figure out Balefire for the CGI, Darkhounds for the CGI. Maybe that's why it's taking a little extra in post.
I hope you're right.
Think about the stuff that they're gonna have to pull off to make season 2 and 3 happen. Rand in the Sky, the Shan Chan, the Heroes for the Horn, Tyr. All those things are gonna be heavily CGI'd, right? I mean, think about it. Even people crawling on a giant stone. You're not going to have a bunch of people do that. It's the stone is sheer and then it's very smooth. You're going to CGI the fuck out of all that shit. That's why there's going to be so much post, I think, dude. I started thinking about it the other day.
Do you know how long it takes to animate 200 different and original Trollocs?
A lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
Well, and you got to think about it. Like, Des, think about the Battle of Falm. All the White Cloaks, the Shan Chan, the ships in the harbor. You get the Heroes of the Horn. That's all gonna be, even if it's not completely CGI.
Yeah, it's not gonna be like that.
Making Loyal's ears move around?
No, that's not gonna happen. Unfortunately.
His eyebrows droop dramatically. No, they didn't.
They're like, nope. In fact, they're sticking straight up and look like they're on fire because they're orange.
Looking for another great podcast to listen to while you wait for the next episode of Thank the Light? Head on over to whatsoundsawesome.com.
Oh, he wants to end it.
Yeah.
Go over to whatsoundsawesome.com. If we don't end it, we can't come back. How about that? There's no
brilliant.
Well, I was really excited today about today's episode, and you just ruined it after an hour and 40 minutes. So thanks.
This is going to take me 4.5 hours to edit. So you're welcome. You're welcome.
You act like me and Jeremy don't have to do any work. Oh, wait.
You guys play your part very well. You do great research. You come with great stuff. But the technical, this is post. I got to deal with post. If you want this thing to come out, if you want this episode to be released before this summer, I got to get on my post.
All right, already. I'm shutting up. I'm shutting up.
Just go to whatsoundsawesome.com. There's a bunch of great stuff over there. And I'll just leave you with this. And when it comes to Thank the Light, if you kick out one leg, the whole tripod falls. You're my boys.
That's right.
You're my boys.
I loved being the last leg of the tripod.
You helped. We were pretty wobbly until you showed up, Jeremy. Now we're
Jeremy, a better way to say that is you're the third leg of
Dang it. I screwed that joke up. Thank you. Just put that in right there.
That being said, pull yourself together, sheep herder. May you find water and shade always.
All right, good night. That's all I got. So much more I wanted to talk about too.
I know, literally, I could probably talk for another 45 minutes.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.
That seemed a lot funnier in my mind.
This will not make the episode.
I hate you.